today we are honored to have here with us Ms. Catherine Farvacque-Vitkovic, and therefore we wanted to discuss a bit with Catherine and hear from her what are her views on the past, but also what are some of the messages that she has for a future for everybody who would like to or are already using these tools. Can you tell us something about the path that you and this program went through, and maybe just to reflect on and compare the achievements of this program and the initial expectations that you had at the beginning?
Well, the path to between 2010 and 2021 was definitely a complex journey, and I like to call it actually the unlikely journey in many ways. In 2010, we found a context that was quite dire. Most countries of the region were just coming out of the 2008 financial crisis, and that crisis showed in many ways the vulnerability of municipalities in terms of local finance, their dependency on land-based revenues and on transfers. This set the tone for what was the realm of the possible in 2010. A second aspect also that contributed to this complex situation was the feeling of resentment and distrust that still existed among countries of the region after the raging civil war that took place in the Balkans. And that war was still felt, or the consequences of that war were still felt because it provoked or caused major fractures among the countries, and also a collapse of traditional forms of governance and the introduction or the rise of informal activities. So it's in this context that the Austrian government approached the bank, and their intention, or what they had in mind at the time, was the financing of a capacity building program for local governments in the region. So the very first task that we had was really to listen. Three key issues were emerging. One was the issue of finance, local finance. So land and city planning were a second core issue. And the third issue that came up also was the incredible need for investments at the local level in infrastructure and services. Additional topics were emerged and were added to the agenda, related to governance, related to transparency, related to accountability. This became, part of a core issue of better city management at the local level. And the basic premise of the program was that it be truly a capacity building program.
So as you already maybe explained this connectivity, there is a very much of importance of this connectivity between these tools and how they can be combined and used together, right?
Right. Yeah, that's an important point and an important question. So as you mentioned rightly, the MFSA was initially introduced, so it was introduced first. And from an initial number of about 10 municipalities engaged at the early stage of the process, it grew into a larger pool of municipalities. We have, I think over 90 municipalities, almost 100 municipalities of all sizes, including capital cities, medium-sized cities, small-sized cities, all size, are engaged currently across the region. So again, very briefly, to remind our listeners what the MFSA, for those who may not be totally familiar with it, to give a quick definition of both tools in order to stress, the importance of the synergy and the connection between them. So the MFSA is basically a tool that would help us assess the overall performance of the city finance. It outlines the key bottlenecks on revenues and expenditures, as well as on financial management practices. It assesses the creditworthiness of local governments, and it assesses also the financial capacity to invest. Okay, that's the link with the urban audit. So it's also provided, of course, a priority action plan, short and medium term, to improve the financial health, the management practices, and the local government funding capacity. It is even more powerful when it is linked to an urban audit. So the urban audit, as you mentioned, was introduced later in the process. What the urban audit does is it assesses the current urbanization trends. It assesses the existing levels of infrastructure and services. It locates and quantifies the gap. It outlines the key components of capital and maintenance programs. It provides the foundation for implementation, both at the city level and at the neighborhood level, of investment programs. So this is why it's such an important tool. When they are combined, the MFSA and the UA makes a lot of sense. Why? Because first, there are a number of benefits that are created by the immediate connection between various departments who typically or traditionally don't talk to each other or don't communicate. Second, there is a level of comprehensiveness and a level of greater understanding of the local situation, of the local challenges, of the local opportunities, which arise when you do simultaneously an MFSA and urban audit. You know, the complexity and the comprehensiveness of your understanding is greater, of course. And thirdly, the connection between the two makes it also possible to match the investment program with the financial capacity or absorptive capacity of the local government.
And maybe you can just give us some overview how these tools can be used and how they actually were used in this time of crisis to help local governments.
So COVID has really put a dent in the financial, economic, and social, fabric of our cities, because the MFSA includes this component, this very important component of projections, which is often not done regularly by municipalities. You have an opportunity to have, as I said earlier, more visibility on the future. So four indicators that I want to raise at our regional level. Current revenues have decreased between 15 to 25%. Capital revenues have decreased on the average between 5 to 15%. Operating expenditures have decreased between 13 to 20%. Capital expenditures, the investment side, have decreased between 7 to 15%. And this is for the past year. So we are looking at now the next projections with an impact even greater than this. COVID, in a sense, is forcing us to rethink real estate issues, mobility issues, connectivity issues, space and location issues, density issues, all these things that are very much related to, again, the type of information that you can get from an urban audit.
What will be your message to the new ones who would like to use this MFSA online course that was developed under the program?
First of all, I'm very tired of being online. However, I think that this has had a positive impact because in many ways it has showed us how our resilience, it has showed us how, we are able to do business or to work differently. So today, let's take the example of the MFSA. Today, any users from any municipality will be able to access and use the tool, and they can tap on a community of local governments currently engaged in local government self-assessment. It's really nice to be able to exchange. They will have access also to a pool of national experts, who have been trained and who have been doing this for a long time now. And so my message, to answer your question, my message to the fresh starters is twofold. One, do not get discouraged because you have a support system. And two, the initial effort is well worth because what you will get out of the process is very worth it.
Final message that you would like to convey to NALAS and to everybody who is actually today we are in the NALAS event also as a co-organizers and co-hosts.
What I would like to say about the collaboration with NALAS is that, NALAS is a very unique organization. There are not that many NALASes in the world. So there are very few regional associations of that nature in the world. So because it is unique and because it also encompasses a very broad and very diverse group of countries and group of cities, each of them having their own set of issues, own set of challenges, own set of opportunities, NALA's mission is quite complex. It's a complex and complicated business. I would say that what gives NALA's its raison d'être, its legitimacy, its relevance, really grounded on fulfilling three key roles. First key role is being a repository of knowledge and of data at the regional level. The second is acting as a facilitator, an incubator of innovations. And the third is being a catalyst for training, concrete, very operational, hands-on training for local staff and local officials. And we developed a very strong working relationship. So I'm very pleased to see that NALA's is going to take on the mission of both scaling up and sustaining the good initiatives of this program.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for this wonderful interview. And of course, as the main, let's say, word, there will be a sustainability, of course, with the NALA's and all the things that UPP actually created and also incorporated into the region and created together with some institutions and local governments.